You know, they say keep your enemies close. If you want to, be stronger than your enemy, know your enemy. And I think, personally, while I'm trying to understand what the hell is going on, because this shit is happening, everybody seems to think that 9/11 was the time we woke up, and it's like, what about the O.J. Simpson trial? Wasn't that sort of an introduction that there is no justice, that somebody that's wealthy can murder and get away with them? And look at the lawyers. They all get rich and famous, and now we've got the Kardashians. Would the Kardashians be famous if they weren't the ones that helped O.J. get off? Something to think about. But I watched that O.J. Simpson trial. Every single second. I don't think I missed 1 second of that show. And I think I viewed it from a different perspective, because I definitely see things differently. I don't view things for entertainment. It's more for research. So I try to wrap your brain around that. And although this may sound strange, I tend to watch the Real HouseWives. There's a whole series of them. And I don't watch it necessarily for entertainment purposes. I do it so I can understand my enemy. These elites are they're destroying the freaking planet. They create the jobs because they got the money, and you're the one that's working for them. So you gotta, what better place than to understand, how do these people think? How do they, and yeah, there's editing and all of that bullshit, but the fact of the matter that they would even put something, no matter how it's edited, it is their approval. And their approval says a lot. And there's one part, I just picking up on this one show. It's the Hollywood, the mega rich housewives. It's actually pretty funny to watch, because I think there was another one that was in California or Los Angeles, housewives or whatever, and they were all, I'm rich. They all have low self-esteem, so that's why they all need boobs, and they are totally focused on the shell that they experience their life in. They have zero interest in anything else. They have zero connection in anything else. They think the only way that they fit in within the world is if that shell looks good. Doesn't matter what comes out of your mouth. Doesn't matter what decisions you make. They just think they're perfect. As long as the body's perfect, they are perfect. And while they think they're perfect, they think they're better than everybody else, and mostly because their bank accounts can afford them to get all those boob jobs and make the perfect body, so they're not probably making that connection that, oh, I'm better than you because I got more money. But that one show, all these guys were losing their jobs. All these rich guys were losing their jobs. And it's like, oh, the economy. And then the divorces come. It was pretty funny. And I'm not saying... It's funny to watch while these people sit there and watch people live through poverty, and they can sit there and laugh and maybe get in their, $1,000 or $100,000 dresses, and, to their charities that are just as dumb as they are. You have to look at what charity is. It's just another scam for people to get. It's a way rich people exchange money between the rich people, and completely stuck in lost information. One of the points that I wanted to make on this is, and this is something that we're all doing, and this one really, really wealthy person said that, she really loved her kids. They own all of these business, but being a mother is the hardest job. Why is it the hardest job? Because your kids are a reflection of yourself. So if you see yourself in you won't see yourself in your kids, but you'll see your kids' behavior, and you won't see, hey, I taught them that. So you'll discipline your kids without disciplining yourself, because you'll never see yourself doing anything wrong. That's the hard part about raising kids, is it's easier to point the finger that a kid is doing something wrong, but you'll never recognize the fact that you taught your kid. And society is definitely teaching them. But anyways, we as loving parents, as this one housewife was the loving parent, and found out that her son or child was smoking pot. So as soon as the child was smoking pot, they got rid of the kid. They kicked him out of the house. Yeah, they found another place, a sister or whatever to live with, and a different school to live with. And, but the point is that this child, whatever age he's at, learned how to do drugs. It's not hard to watch that show to see how he might have learned how to do drugs. And then the child is learning that when I do something that's right, I will get kicked out. So he's going to learn how to do more things that are wrong. Because to do the drugs, because his parents taught him, you can see the behavior. I mean, they're drinking and shit. Like, they just have no sense of responsibility or accountability. So they've taught the child how to don't be responsible or accountable. If you want to have a good time, do drugs. That's what the parents do. That's what the child's doing. So the child is learning that that's good behavior. So by doing big behavior, they kick him out of the house. I don't want to deal with you anymore. And a lot of parents are doing that. When things get challenging, we kick our kids out. And then we say we love our kids. And one example I've seen of this that was just absolutely heart-wrenching is when, I won't even mention the town to keep the person anonymous, but did move into this area. There was, I think she was 14 or 15 years old girl, and she was basically on the streets. And I'm like just coming out of a hospital, and I'm like stressed from all of the fucking hell. I got no money, and I've got my daughter to support. My daughter was going through hell as well, so we're both trying to, survive. And here's this homeless girl that my daughter met at school. So we invited her to stay with us, because I ain't going to let no child be homeless. And ended up finding out, and these people have money. The parents of this child have money. And apparently this mother had 4 kids. And she was a single mother and worked around the clock trying to feed her kids, and had to get 2 of these kids had to be in daycare while the others were in school or whatever. But 2 of her kids had to be in daycare. And at this daycare, they basically tortured these kids. They locked them in dog cages. And this went on for years and years and years and years. And nobody did anything. Nobody would believe these kids when they were saying that this was going on. Apparently, the father tried doing something, but the father was so outraged that somebody would do this to his kids that he looked a little angry, so they thought that he was the problem and not necessarily the abusers. We don't really connect the dots that we get angry when you hurt our children. We look like we're evil, abusive, or whatever. When you're the victim of abuse, you're angry, so you look guilty. The guy that's the abuser, he always has his emotions in charge, so he always looks like he's calm. Those are always the guilty ones. So anyways, it took a long time to find out what was going on, because not only did I see this girl, but I've seen her brother and the parents. Like this woman got married, and I think they have 2 stepsisters now. And all of the other children are perfect, except for these 2 kids that were locked in dog cages that nobody wants to talk about that ever happened. They just think that these children were raised in the perfect house, had everything, and they're just acting out for no reason at all. And meanwhile, these kids were trained to act like caged animals. And when you see them out in society, they very much act like caged animals. Nobody taught them anything different. Nobody showed them any love. Nobody's interested in anything they have to say, so they're acting out. And, you report this, and, well, the guy worked for the police department, so no investigation was ever done. Parents don't want to have anything to do with it. It's just kick your kids out. And that's what they did, is they kicked their kids out. As soon as you don't want to behave, get out. And they're not seeing that it was their behavior. And meanwhile, all of the other kids in the family who don't know what the hell was going on, they think that, oh, my brother and sister are just a little crazy. Why would 2 kids be acting exactly the same way, where all other six don't behave that way. If it was a perfect household, wouldn't all the kids be behaving good? Why would only two? And why would two be telling the same story, that they were locked in a dog cage? I believe it was from like kindergarten until she was 12 years old. It's a long time to be locked in a dog cage, and who the hell knows what was done to them while they were in these dog cages. Apparently the guy that did it was a foster care. So, that's what foster care system is all about. They don't look for good parents. They look for the ones that are going to torture our kids. It's just an insane world. But that's my take on it, that when you want to see these elites being really, really screwed up, they had parents, and their parents had parents. And all of these people had a lot of money, and they never want to deal with any problems. They all have like 20 nannies. They never give a hug. They have no clue of what love is. They do not love their children, even though they say the words. Love is only in action. And if you don't have any loving actions, then it's going to unfold in everything else you're doing. So when we see these elites, they have been, generationally taught how not to love each other. They're off in boarding schools. They don't have to be responsible or accountable because their parents are always get them out of jail. They have the money to pay for the lawyers to say, hey, you don't have to be responsible for anything. I'm not responsible for anything I have to do, so you don't have to be responsible. And then they say, I'm a good mom and really care. So it's like, just forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. But that's where your enemies are. If you want to understand them, look at the logic that these people have. There's, zero tie to the reality in our world. They are, they're very, very much lost. And to hate them, so somebody hates you, what's your first reaction? Be defensive. They'll never get it if you're hating them. You have to send them some love. You have to give them an example of love, because that's how we learn, is through example. And the whole planet is hating. So what example is that setting? We've turned into the evil. Just a thought. Peace out.